Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. We got a show today. Welcome. Oh, look, I left words, big words, great words in the middle of my screen. Awesome. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're going to have a good one. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some very interesting stories. Of course, we're going to talk about Donald Trump. A little bit of, I guess, breaking news as of yesterday. That's okay. It's breaking here. We'll talk about it. I'm gonna do some analysis of the probe, into Trump, including his response to it. Then we have a rehashing of Trump's plan to end homelessness, which is interesting that he brings this up at a recent rally, considering how he's no longer in power. Oh, wait, could that be him saying, this is what I want to do when I become president? Interesting. All right. We have Republicans also going after the Affordable Care Act, of course. Yes, the probe into Trump. Phrasing indeed. Gotta watch out with that. Hey, look, I'm just saying it.
Sexual anarchy.
Okay, a little. Maybe it is a little suggestive. Okay, sure.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
I'm just saying. There's a probe into Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying.
I will eat your ass.
Okay. All right. That's fun. Hey.
I like my meat tight.
Okay. So we're still waiting for Donald Trump's health care plan. Yes. Any day now. Just in a couple of weeks. It'll happen. All right. So look, we've got that. We have Lauren Boebert talking about masculinity. So that's always fun. And then fun stuff. John Fetterman challenges Dr. Oz. Oh, interesting. On what? Well, we'll talk about that. It's an interesting conversation to be had. All right, everybody, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out greatly, as always. All right. Yeah, you might have noticed on the YouTube feed, there is subscriber mode. So, just an attempt to clean up the chat. And by the way, if you are a hater and you're hate watching and you want to leave horrible comments, you're going to have to sub first. Sorry. Sub to the channel, and then you can post horrifying comments. Got it? Cool. All right. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk Let's talk a bit about probes. All right. Phrasing. I know. Now we got it. The Department of Justice is now investigating former President Donald Trump, according to a report in the Washington Post, citing 4 people familiar with the matter. It appears that Merrick Garland is finally looking at Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. Prosecutors have been asking about conversations with Trump, his lawyers, and others in the inner circle, including Giuliani, who sought to substitute Trump allies for certified electors from states that Joe Biden had won. Again, this is the fake electors, part of the Green Bay sweep, where he's like, oh, let's just get these fake electors in there that are going to vote for me, that are going to let me take the electoral college. It doesn't matter the popular vote. Doesn't matter how many people are going to vote for me, even though I'm absolutely going to lie about it. All I want to do is win the electoral college so I can retain power, so that I can avoid being prosecuted, so that I can avoid people going after me. And so I think that's the general thought process. Yes, believe it or not, there is a thought process here. But that thought usually involves me when it comes to Trump. All right, so now, did Garland go into Walmart and buy a spine, says one of the users, Jayhawker41 the Ball Dragon. Wait, we'll get to that. Now, prosecutors have also asked about meetings Trump led in December 2020 and January 2021, the pressure campaign on Pence, of course, which ended up leading to the crowd on January 6th to chant out, hang Mike Pence. I'm pretty sure, though, it's hang my pants. That's what they were actually saying. Hang my pants. Got to hang up those pants. All right. So not only that, but they're also looking at what instructions Trump gave his lawyers and advisors about the fake electors and sending the electors back to the states to try to steal the election. All right. So now some of the questions focus directly on the extent of Trump's involvement in the fake elector effort led by his outside lawyers, John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani. In addition, Justice Department investigators in April received phone records of key officials and aides in the Trump administration, including his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. So now this move by the Department of Justice is, again, this is something that progressives have been pushing for, saying, hey, Merrick Garland, get off your ass. You've been watching the same January 6 hearings that we have. We know that the House committee does not have the power to issue indictments, criminal probes, anything like that. And so we've already seen enough evidence. Let's go already. Let's do something. Now, the move by the DOJ also follows 2 former Pence aides, Mark Short and Greg Jacob, who had testified. We don't know exactly what they said, but according to the reports, the questions to Jacob and Short included a focus on the fake electors, which they knew were unconstitutional. So when Eastman came up with this, and they had this infamous meeting talking about the fake electors, it was well known by everybody involved and was mentioned that, hey, we don't think this is actually constitutional. Now, that said, okay, important to note, this and the House Select Committee investigations, they are 2 different entities. They are 2 different things. The House Committee, as I mentioned before, has no ability to charge Trump with anything. Only the Department of Justice can actually do that. So the question here then is, now that the Department of Justice is doing a criminal probe related to Trump, does this mean criminal charges against Trump? Well, therein lies the rub. I'm a skeptical person. Not skeptical of the fact that Donald Trump had done something, criminal. Oh, no, I absolutely am convinced of his criminality. He tried to steal the election. What I'm skeptical of is anybody actually doing anything about it. And so right now, there is no indication that Donald Trump will be charged with anything. And so, look, not only has no sitting or former president been charged with a crime, but Trump has already been investigated numerous times. Again, we had the Mueller investigation. We had impeachment 1, impeachment 2. He has always come out unscathed, thanks to Republicans. And not only that, but you look at U.S. history, and it has a history of letting criminal presidents go. Richard Nixon had to resign over Watergate, okay, and still ended up being pardoned by the next president. Not only that, but pretty much every president in the modern age has been a war criminal. Yes, absolutely, being honest about that. Go ahead and bomb every country you like. George W. Bush, launches 2 unfunded, unprovoked wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Over 1 million Iraqis died. And what did Obama do? In 2008, we said, we don't look backwards. We don't look forwards. War crimes. We don't really care about that. Now, you also have that, plus the Republican Party's unwillingness to admit any sort of wrongdoing on the part of Trump. And so I am deeply skeptical that Trump is actually going to face any kind of consequences, any kind of justice. And that's horrifying because of what he actually tried to do. And really, he has no qualms about it. He's still going out there and he's still spreading the same kind of nonsense, talking about the big lie. And so he hasn't learned anything. So he's not going to do anything. I mean, look, let me give you some quotes here, by the way. Look, on the right wing, Trump still has a lot of power. He still commands a lot of power. Yeah, sure, he's been losing some people to DeSantis, losing some voters, losing some politicians. But really, honestly, if he is the nominee for any reason, whatever reason, of course they're going to support him. Republicans do not regret acquitting Trump during the second impeachment trial. Let me give you the quotes from that. Asked if he regretted his vote to acquit Trump, Senator Jerry Moran basically just walked into an elevator, smiled while sipping coffee as the door closed. Yeah, that's not a clear answer there, but actually it is a clear answer. He's like, I don't have to say anything. Gone. More, Chuck Grassley, who was approached about the possibility of another Trump presidential run, said that Trump or anybody else is going to have to come to Iowa and compete for it. Basically saying, look, yeah, of course we'd let him run for president again. Well, I mean, that's why we didn't impeach him. It would have removed his ability to run for president again. Asked if he believed Trump was unfit for office, Grassley said, I judge people by their policy. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there you go. Senator Roy Blunt told reporters that the purpose of impeachment is to remove somebody from office, and then declined to comment when asked about Trump's actions during the riot. And look, now Republican leadership. Oh, let me get to Roy Blunt first. He told reporter, sorry, I already said that. Now Republican leadership says that they stand by their argument that the Senate could not have voted to remove Trump after he had already left office. But again, you would have worked to prevent him from running for office again. Now, finally, after Trump gave a speech in Washington where he repeated the big lie, he said that in 2024, we're going to have to do it again. Try to steal an election. When asked about that, Senator Kevin Cramer said this: I think that's part of his strategy for motivating perhaps his next campaign if he does it. If he wants to, he should. Oh, wonderful. So basically, Republicans are saying, look, if you want to spread the same lies that started the riots and put our lives in danger, and you could only look at the video of Josh Hawley running away from the rioters, go ahead and totally do it. Totally fine. No, this is a party that has no qualms about Trump attempting to end democracy as we know it. So do I believe that the same party who ostensibly is the only one that fights, is the only one that has the balls to do anything? They have no balls when it comes to Trump, but, they're not going to do anything. No, I don't think Trump's going to be getting any jail time. Because, again, you have Republicans that, yes, are servile to the so-called alpha male, right? Donald Trump. And now, of course, talking about Ron DeSantis, because he's basically Trump without the truths or tweets. And without the embarrassing whining. But if Trump, again, becomes a nominee, runs again, wins, then yes, Republicans, of course, are going to back him. And it scares people like Merrick Garland into not wanting to do anything. Oh, I don't want Fox News to get mad at me. I don't want Republicans to get mad at me. Oh, no. Oh, that's scary. Scary. Garland is incredibly weak as Attorney General. Look, you even had Obama's former Attorney General, Eric Holder. He came out there and said, Merrick Garland, what are you waiting for? Indict him already. We got him. So, no, I would be very surprised if Garland actually moves to indict. Knowing even what we know now, and the hearings are not even over yet. So there's more evidence. Now, I hope I'm wrong about Garland and he comes out and is strong. But right now, we know Trump is clearly guilty of trying to block the peaceful transfer of power, to try to end our democracy. And I think that if we do not indict Trump, and we instead let him run for president again, which apparently Democrats seem totally fine doing, because, hey, oh, look, that's the only guy that Biden could actually win against. And again, there's the polling here. There's the polling that you have where Joe Biden beats Trump, but loses against other Republicans. I mean, you are gambling with democracy. If they don't indict, then it's going to be an absolute disaster for the country. Yes, Garland would indict. You are wrong. I want to be proved wrong. Have them prove me wrong, please. Let someone relieve me of my cynicism. I hope I'm wrong. This is one of those situations where I want to be wrong. So, Merrick Garland, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. All right. Oh, hey, TYT, thanks for the raid. 144 viewers. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I was just talking about Trump and the news of the probe. Prove us wrong, I beg you. Yes. I would be worried that the murder party would be turning on me too. Well, the only way to stop them at this point, before they get to actually openly doing the murder, is, using the power of the law the best you can. If they don't indict Trump, the U.S. will either go full fascist or full civil war. I have no doubt. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Trump's response, by the way. I thought it was the alien probe. Well,
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
All right. I'm pretty sure I've got more sound clips here somewhere of that. I gotta get to Alex Jones. It's not human intelligence. I'm missing that because I can't seem to find it anywhere. I might have to go to Rumble. Yikes. All right. Former President Donald Trump is fuming after the Washington Post published a breaking story that the Justice Department is probing his actions on January 6th. While there is no criminal indictment of the former president, it is a criminal probe And that enough has triggered the former president, who took to Truth Social. He wrote this: just more disinformation by the Democrats, like the Russia scam, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, the long-running Mueller report, which ended in no collusion, not true, and so much more. Now that we have found the answers to these crooked, election-changing events, why is the Justice Department not prosecuting those responsible? Plenty of time left. Okay, plenty of time left. Yeah, Merrick Garland, why didn't you actually go after the people responsible, like Donald Trump? I know he's looking into the people around him, but again, there's no criminal indictments yet when it comes to Trump. All right, so now he continues by saying, people forget this is all about a rigged and stolen election. Not really, but rather than go after the people that rigged and stole it, they go after the people that are seeking honesty and truth and have freedom of speech, many other defenses on their side. Justice Department should look at the crime of the century. Weird capitalization, by the way. Evidence is massive and irrefutable. No, to this day, no one has presented any evidence that the election was stolen. Now, there is evidence that somebody tried to steal the election, and it just happened to be Donald Trump. But of course, facts don't matter to the right. He says it enough time, and his people are going to believe it. The guy could go on and say that the sky is brown, and I'm pretty sure MAGA would be like, yes. And you know what? It's the perfect shade of brown, and we've been saying it all along. That's our president. He says it's brown. It's brown. No, look, the majority of Republicans believe that Trump won the election. I mean, you've probably seen the NPC meme, right? That's the NPC meme. It's absolute projection when they say liberals are in lockstep. No, it's the right wing. But anyway, there's more rage. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. The Georgia phone calls, he says, were perfect. Many people and lawyers on both sides were knowingly on the call. I assumed the call was taped. There were 0 complaints or angry "how dare you" charges made during the call, and no hang-ups by anyone aggrieved or insulted at what was said. They were perfect calls. I was just doing my job as president and seeking fairness and the truth. Election was rigged and stolen. Why am I not surprised that nobody would tell the most powerful person in the world that he was doing bad things? And how the fact that since nobody told the most powerful person in the world, who should know better, that he was doing illegal things and that they were bad, coming up with the conclusion that they're not actually bad, that's quite a stretch. Big stretch. That's Stretch Armstrong level. Okay? And by the way, in the call, that's not even true. Raffensperger was like, hey, you know there's no fraud, right? Everything you're saying right now is not true. To which Trump said about the investigators, quote, they're either dishonest or incompetent. Well, I mean, that would be massive projection right there on the case of Trump. But look, Raffensperger also says, I'm not going to find you all the votes. I'm not going to find you votes that don't exist. The numbers are the numbers, and the numbers don't actually lie. And that's where Trump made a threat and said, oh, it's dangerous for you to say that. So no, this is not a perfect call. And nowhere in the job description does it say for president that you should end democracy. In fact, it says the opposite. You're supposed to protect democracy. You're supposed to uphold it. So look, Obviously Trump catching feelings about the J6 hearings and the probe, which again is not, it so far has not led to any indictments of Trump himself. And yet the man is feeling very, very salty. I can only imagine the rage if he is indicted. So again, I don't know if he has anything to worry about on that front. No sitting former president has been charged with a crime. So this would be literally unprecedented in this country. And it's not because they didn't do crime. No, there was Nixon who resigned. He was pardoned afterwards because had he stayed in office, he absolutely would have been impeached. And then there's, of course, also Bush's war crimes, never punished. In fact, he's doing shitty paintings right now. And, you know, that's the result of the 2 invasions that led to over a million innocent Iraqis that were killed. But hey, war crimes totally acceptable in this country, you know, if a president does it. And that includes us doing regime change to other countries. In fact, even under Trump, we were trying to do regime change to Venezuela. You know, the whole Juan Guaido thing. And so...
in Venezuela.
So they tried to do that. I mean, again, war criminal. Absolute war criminal. Dropping the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. Aiding the Saudis in Yemen. Letting a man who killed a Washington Post journalist, Mohammed bin Bonesaw Salman, get away with it. I mean, come on. The crime after crime after crime. Not only that, but again, trying to steal an election. And yet, you know, I don't see, there's no indictments yet. I'm hoping that the Attorney General will look at this and think, I may be comfortable with regime change in other places, but not here. Not so comfortable with that, and chooses to indict. We can only hope. Define perfect call. That's a ridiculous premise to begin with. Yeah, again, but perfect. I don't know what he means by perfect. It doesn't make any sense. Any sense at all. All right. Speaking of nonsense, let's go to Trump's plan on homelessness. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but he brought it back up.
Perhaps some people will not like hearing this, but the only way you're going to remove the hundreds of thousands of people, and maybe throughout our nation, millions of people we're talking about, and help make our cities clean, safe, and beautiful again, is open up large parcels of inexpensive land in the outer reaches of the cities, bring medical professionals, including doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, drug rehab specialists, build permanent bathrooms and other facilities, make them good, make them hard, but build them fast, and create thousands and thousands of high-quality tents, which can be done in one day.
High-quality tents. That was former President Donald Trump weirdly talking about his plan to end homelessness by actually not ending homelessness. Now, if you think that was from earlier, you know, from when he was actually president, no. Now, I say that because he brought this up and said almost the same thing back in 2019. He had a plan. But okay, now he's talking about this. Probably because he's getting ready to announce that he's running for president again for 2024. But let's be clear about the policy, because I think that's most important here. Rounding up unhoused people and basically taking them out of the city and sticking them in a giant camp, that's not a good thing. And I know some of you might be like, well, why? Well, because it's a concentration camp. He just described concentration camps for the poor. Now, remember, members of the unhoused community are not only people who have been gentrified because of rising home prices outside the city. They're also people that have, you know, been dealing with mental illness, PTSD, drug addiction, people who are just one paycheck away from economic disaster, and then said economic disaster happened to them. And now they're poor, and now they're unhoused. And look, you also have members of the LGBTQIA plus community who have been kicked out of their homes, youth, And so there's a lot of different terrible reasons why people are unhoused. So on what Trump wants to do with them, picking them up and moving them out of the city by force, by the way, is not going to help them. It's not going to solve the problem. It's a concentration camp. But what it will do is something that a lot of rich people, let's be honest, a lot of wealthy donors and even members of the middle class, right? They just want to get homeless people unhoused out of their sight. Now, for some, maybe it's a reminder of how precarious their position is and how close they could be to becoming unhoused themselves. Or it just could be a cruelty thing where they think, well, those people, obviously, they're bad people, because if they were good people, they would be wealthy like me. It's that weirdo kind of Calvinistic approach that we've seen in our society for a very, very long time. Well, if you're a good person, then obviously you were rewarded with riches from heaven. But if you were a bad person, then you were punished with poverty. And that is why we should not help them. But again, they don't want to see it regardless of their reasons. They don't want to know homeless people or the unhoused are there. They just want them gone. And look, I'll be honest, there's good reason to not want to have camps of unhoused people everywhere, obviously. In those communities, unfortunately, there is a lot of crime. There is sexual assault in these camps that happen to the people in. By the way, I'm talking about crime to the people inside the camps who barely have anything that still get their possessions stolen. And that's, by the way, if they're not seized and destroyed by police. And of course, there's also drug use. There are people that have to end up defecating in the streets. Now, I want to solve the problem. I don't want to just move the problem. I want to solve the problem. Physically moving them to another place doesn't do that. But what it does is that it just takes these people and gets them out of the eyes of everyone else, so they no longer have to see the problem. No, I think we should actually solve the problems. I think we should be making housing more affordable. I think we should have free healthcare. We should have free mental health care. We should have programs that help with addiction. We should have education that's free, getting people into jobs, having safe and reliable public transportation so people don't have to rely on vehicles, things like that. Now, a lot of that stuff sounds difficult and expensive. Oh, can't do that. Can't do that. How expensive do you think keeping the status quo is, which again, having to clear out these camps, paying law enforcement to do it, putting people in jail, putting people in prison, and not to mention the Trump plan of just forcibly picking them up and sticking them in another place. That's also going to be more expensive. So no, we actually have to do a long-term investment in all these different things to not only, help people who are unhoused, but even better, to prevent people from being unhoused in the first place. I know, shocking, right? But what we have now are, again, this makes me think back to an episode of Star Trek, right? Deep Space Nine back in 1995, where they created these sanctuary districts. That's what they were called. And basically they would stick the poor and unhoused and unemployed in these giant camps away from people and just ignore them. And that's it. If you don't have a job, if you don't have a home, you get stuck in that camp. That was an entire episode. A two-part, series of episodes in 1995 that had this very idea. Look, maybe that's where Trump got it from. But instead of seeing a caution as a cautionary tale against that, he looks at it and says, "Oh, you know what? Let me take some notes. This is a great idea. Sanctuary districts, all right." Now, to give you some background on an episode, one of the exchanges between the two characters, Cisco and Bashir, really summed up some of the reasons why this is happening. When dealing with somebody that had mental illness, for example, Bashir, who's a doctor, said, well, look, they could cure that man now today if they gave a damn. To which Cisco replies, it's not that they don't give a damn, they've just given up. The social problems they face seem too enormous to deal with. To which the doctor replies, that's even worse. Causing people to suffer because you hate them is terrible, but causing people to suffer because you have forgotten how to care, that's really hard to understand. And look, there's a lot of people who not only have forgotten how to care in this society, in this country, but there are also people that could choose to care, but don't. And I think it's very, very clear that a lot of members of the right wing, but also, by the way, people who are Democrats, because I remember years ago talking about a Hawaii Democratic congressman who would go out with a sledgehammer and smash homeless people's shopping carts filled with their possessions. And so this is a problem among people who have means. And again, it's because they do not want to see homeless people around. It's bad for our elections. It's bad for our public image. It's bad for us. Well, why not actually solve the problem? Oh, because it costs too much money. And we don't actually care about these people. And so, yes, it is right wing. It is Trump, but it is also a lot of people in means that just at this point have lost their empathy, their humanity, and don't give a damn about unhoused people. It really is sad, too. All right. How expensive are those bombs and missiles we fund every year? Asks Octosquiddies. That is a great point. I don't know exactly the figure on just the bombs and missiles, but I can tell you, we give the Pentagon what, almost $800 billion a year now, billion a year, just for the military. It's almost like we should, I don't know, cut that in half and actually fund these social programs with that money. Oh, but then of course we couldn't just bomb people overseas. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Priorities, right? Solve problems, lose fundraising. $820 billion. Jesus Christ. It just keeps getting bigger. It appears Republicans have renewed their assault against what little healthcare reform we have. Yes, it appears that Republicans are going after the Affordable Care Act. Oh, what is this? 2010? Well, look, it's not Republican politicians this time that are going after it, but right-wing groups that are looking to use the Supreme Court to strip away certain mandates. In this case, the preventative care mandate inside the ACA. So now a lawsuit launched by conservative, evangelical right-wing groups is challenging the Affordable Care Act's requirement that insurers and groups and group plans cover dozens of preventative services at no cost. A group of Texas residents and employers, of course, Texas, represented by attorney Jonathan Mitchell, who gained prominence as the former Solicitor General of Texas, and the person who had the chief architect of the state's draconian 6-week abortion ban. He is out there representing these evangelicals, these far-right Christian extremists, in their attempt to gut preventative healthcare services. Jeez. All right. Now, they are claiming that the ACA's preventative services mandate violates their religious freedom. Oh, The plaintiffs are claiming that the law violates religion because it forces them to, quote unquote, subsidize or provide insurance that encourages and facilitates homosexual behavior, drug use, and sexual activity outside of marriage. Wait, I thought they were a part of your freedom. No, they're showing you exactly who they are. Here's more homophobia. And using that to come after your insurance. Now, the lawsuit states the government cannot possibly show that forcing private insurers to provide PrEP drugs, the HPV vaccine, and screenings and behavioral counseling for STDs and drug use free of charge is a policy of such overriding importance that it can trump religious freedom objections. Yeah, how about, healthcare? Having people not die or spread these diseases, protecting national health. That's kind of more important than somebody saying, "Oh, I don't feel good about gay people getting healthcare." I mean, that's disgusting. Now, the lawsuit also says the government cannot possibly. I already said that. Sorry. Look, let's make no mistake. Not about religious freedom. This is actually mainly, I think, about corporations not wanting to pay for healthcare. I mean, that's the big thing, but also these Christian fundamentalists trying to basically take over your life, trying to control your life. Now, look, Mitchell is looking to block the ACA's entire preventative care mandate, not just the specific drugs he talked about, which is going to save corporations, I guess, a lot of money. They don't want to pay that. Now, an estimated, of course, 151.6 million people with private health insurance are right now able to get free preventative care, ranging from colonoscopies, mammograms, to flu shots, birth control, and depression checks through the ACA. Studies have shown that the elimination of this patient cost sharing has reduced racial disparities in the use of preventative care. So if it helps Black people, of course, they're also not in favor of it. The far right says, no, we don't want you to have free preventative care. We want you to pay. We want you to pay. It's disgusting. Now, hearings in the case began on Tuesday of this week. Unfortunately, you had Judge Reed O'Connor, the author of numerous anti-ACA rulings, including a 2018 one deeming the program unconstitutional, presiding over the affair at the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. So, congratulations. In an analysis published on Monday from the Urban Institute, they predicted that a ruling on the behalf of the Christian plaintiffs from Texas could undermine access to health care for nearly 168 million people on employer-based plans for the ACA's individual market, which has medical organizations that are giving dire warnings of what's to come. A joint statement led by the AMA and signed by 61 groups said this, quote, with an adverse ruling, patients would lose access to vital preventative healthcare services such as screening for breast cancer, colorectal cancer, cervical cancer, heart disease, diabetes, preeclampsia, and hearing, as well as access to immunizations critical to maintaining a healthy population. Our patients cannot afford to lose this critical access to preventative healthcare services. Rolling back this access would reverse important progress and make it harder for physicians to diagnose and treat diseases and medical conditions that, if caught early, are significantly more manageable. Now, I think that's the important part because, yes, if you catch something early on and you can treat it more cheaply than if it's caught later on where you need much more expensive medical interventions. But again, those more expensive medical interventions just happen to make people money. So of course, they're like, yes, let's make sure people have to pay more so that our donors can get rich. Now look, this is who the Republicans are, okay? As I've said before in the show, they're not conservatives. They're regressives. They're trying to take us back. They're trying to roll back any sort of progress, especially if it has to do with the Obama administration, right? And the ACA was passed under Obama. And so they're rolling back any progress, but they're actually rolling back even more. And look, the ACA, as I've mentioned, has a lot of flaws. I don't think it's nearly progressive enough. I think it's too little, and I think it was passed too late. At the time that they were trying to pass this, we should have had at least a public option, and we should have Medicare for all. We should have single-payer health care like every other modern industrial country, where they have healthier people, and they have real health care. But even with what we have, which is just private insurance, too much for regressives. They have to take away what little progress there was. And look, you want to talk about being pro-life. They claim to be pro-life. They're not. These people want you to die if you can't afford health care. Simple as that. And again, preventative services, as I mentioned, they save money in the long run. Now, there's another group here, Syringe Access, which is a coalition of harm reduction groups. They went after this on social media, saying, quote, "There is no religious freedom justification for stripping healthcare plans of their responsibility to provide free PrEP and STI screenings. This is just thinly veiled homophobia, anti-drug user sentiment, and raging contempt for public health." Now, let me just add, before I get into more of that, what did we just hear Marjorie Greene talk about? Monkeypox, right? And how, and I've seen this across other conservative, pages and outlets talking about how, monkeypox, that just affects gay people. They're basically reinventing the AIDS crisis here by saying, that's only going to affect gay people. And now we have these organizations saying, we don't want gay people to have access to preventative care because we don't like their lifestyle. So it is absolutely not just thinly veiled homophobia. It's right up in your face. Total homophobia. Now, getting back here to another couple of quotes here. Catherine Hempstead, senior policy advisor at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, told Politico, "Any of the requirement that preventative services be free to patients will have negative health and financial consequences for millions." According to Politico, the Biden administration is also arguing that the Texans do not have legal standing because they aren't being harmed by their insurance covering preventative services, and that there's a clear government interest in preventing the spread of HIV and STDs for the health of the population at large. Fair enough. But nonetheless, I'm going to show you what the real plan is. But before I say that, I've got to mention the Trump administration was also a big supporter of PrEP as part of the plan to end HIV, said Wayne Turner, a senior attorney with the National Health Law Program. It's something we've had bipartisan support for. This is trying to turn the clock back to 1983. Well, as I said before, Republicans are regressive, which means they don't want to just go back to 1983. They want to go back to 1583. What's sad is that this might be successful because it's expected by legal experts that the case will be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Now, that circuit is stacked with far-right justices appointed by Trump, and then to be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. What do we have on the U.S. Supreme Court? Oh, right, extremists. We have Christo-fascists that are sitting on the Supreme Court right now. And they are extremists. And they'll absolutely, if given the chance, roll back these vital protections. So get ready for it. We're going to have another horrible decision from the Supreme Court on healthcare. This is why I think Biden needed to use his emergency powers, should have used his emergency powers to expand Medicare to everybody and to stack the Supreme Court. Yeah, I said stack by expanding it. And by the way, also maybe, I don't know, put in some term limits. All right, let's move on. After their victory in overturning a woman's right to bodily autonomy, the Republican Party has turned its attention to marriage equality. In fact, here is Representative Lauren Boebert talking to Charlie Kirk about why she doesn't think gay people should have the ability to get married.
They really have launched an all-out assault on America's traditional values. They have attacked our institutions. They have weakened the nuclear family and undermined masculinity and even femininity. And the people who can't even define what a woman is now wants to get in the middle of defining a covenant between a man and a woman and God.
So wait now, somehow allowing people of the same sex to get married is destroying masculinity? Is masculinity? Are you admitting that it is so inherently fragile that this would be the very thing that would shatter it? Masculinity. Because obviously that's what you sound like. It sounds like that you believe that masculinity is so incredibly fragile. If you believe that it was as strong as you thought it was, or at least as strong as you say it is, and not the super weak and pathetic version of it, then gay people getting married would not affect it at all. But apparently, you are trying so hard to protect it, which means that it is super weak and fragile and does not deserve protection because it's not real masculinity, is it? No. It doesn't make any sense. They don't make any sense. Look, masculinity is just going to be, it's going to be just fine. What's not going to be fine is the toxic version of it. Femininity will also be fine. And by the way, people should be allowed to find their own way between the two ends of that spectrum without people like Lauren Boebert telling them how to do it. But understand, Lauren Boebert wants to control your life. Lauren Boebert and the Republican Party do not believe in freedom at all. She wants you to fit into the neat little box that she created for everyone else because, God forbid, her tiny little pea brain can't cope with anything that's outside of that box into what she considers to be abnormal. What she considers to be abnormal. Now, I consider her abnormal. Now, look, she also accuses them of trying to redefine marriage. Look, let's be honest. Marriage has been redefined so many different times before. I mean, what's one more time, really? Look, back in the day, and I'm talking a long, long time ago, marriage used to be more of a political transaction where women were treated as commodities to be bartered because of their ability to bear children. And of course, they were also used to cement alliances between noble families. Are you sure you want to go back to that? Are you, Lauren Boebert, do you want to be a bargaining chip? Is that what you want to be? Okay, well, I mean, go back to that. Stop talking for one. Get off the mic. Walk home and make your pervert husband a sandwich. If that's what you think you're all good for, then why don't you live that way? Why don't you live your own words? Oh, you don't want to? Gee, I wonder why. No, look, religion, by the way, she talks about it's a covenant between man and woman and God. You realize that in Christianity, it was not involved officially in marriage until 1563, which, by the way, Republicans want to take us back to 1563. Yeah, that was the Council of Trent, where finally they said, "Oh, the ceremony of marriage. Yeah, let's add that into our official canon." And when it comes to same-sex marriage, by the way, if you look through history, there's a few interesting examples. The Roman Emperor Nero, and I didn't know this before, who ruled from AD 54 to 68, twice married men in formal wedding ceremonies, and had forced the imperial court to treat them as his wives. Interesting. Somewhat a little bit closer to 1563 is one 13th century Greek Orthodox ceremony, which is the order for solemnization of same-sex union. And in it, the celebrant asked God to grant the participants grace to love one another and to abide unhated and not a cause of scandal all the days of their lives, with the help of the Holy Mother of God and all they saints. That was a same-sex marriage in the 13th century. It's almost as if marriage has been redefined and hasn't just been the province of one man and one woman. Not that right-wingers will appreciate the little history lesson there. I don't think Boebert has ever really even opened up a history book, much less her own Bible. But that's true of most fundamentalists. In fact, you know what? The less learned you are in the Bible, the more fervent you are a believer in it, the less you know about what's actually in it. Now, if you are, somebody who has read the Bible, there's a good chance, very good chance, that you are likely an atheist, or you're at least a person who knows what they're talking about and is likely a Christian leftist. Because you cannot read the Bible and come out without being either of those two things. Or there's, I guess, the other option, using that same Bible to dupe gullible right-wingers into doing what you want to get power and keep power. But look, back to Boebert, who's obviously trying to get and keep power. All she has is hate. She does not care about freedom. She never cares for freedom. All she wants to do is to hate and discriminate. That's all they always want to do. Okay. One more quick story here. Let's go to John Fetterman. He's wrecking it. Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman is challenging Dr. Oz to live on the minimum wage. Now, in a statement on Monday, Fetterman said this: "Another year, still no change to our shitty $7.25 an hour minimum wage. My opponent, Dr. Oz, doesn't care about the people across Pennsylvania who are hurting, and he doesn't even believe that our embarrassingly low minimum wage needs to be addressed. So since Dr. Oz, who owns 11 homes around the world, including several multi-million-dollar mansions, thinks that our minimum wage is a livable wage, then he should be forced to live on $7.25 an hour so that he can demonstrate to all of us how it's possible." Well, of course, we all know the answer is that it's not possible. It's literally impossible to live on that wage. You cannot afford rent anywhere in the country. And so, yeah, I would love to see how it's possible. I would love to see Dr. Oz give up all of his millions of dollars, even for a short time, and to try to live like somebody and work like somebody on the minimum wage. Embarrassingly low doesn't even cover it. But absolutely right. Look, by the way, it is funny. Dr. Oz, of course, doesn't care about the people of Pennsylvania because he lives in New Jersey. But anyway, is Dr. Oz going to take the challenge? Of course not. No, again, not only is it impossible to live on the minimum wage, but Dr. Oz wouldn't know how to live on any small amount of money. And he's not interested. And look, even before the pandemic, to get how bad it is, you couldn't rent a one-bedroom apartment. Certainly couldn't do it now, but you couldn't do it before the pandemic. And now we have massive amounts of inflation. And so, I mean, it's always been bad. Now it's worse. Now, as Fetterman emphasized on Monday, because of inflation, the minimum wage today is worth 27% less than it was worth 13 years ago, and 40% less than in 1968. So think about that. In 1968, you worked for minimum wage, you got 40% more value from your money. 40% more bang for your buck. You had more purchasing power. Now you don't have that. Now, you also didn't have massive amounts of student debt. You also didn't have huge, inflation in home prices, incredibly high rents. No. Back then, it was actually a lot easier to live in a one-person, one working home family, right? Now, you have to have two people working, a two-income household, and you still barely survive. Now, try to tell right-wingers that. Try to tell Dr. Oz. He's going to laugh at you. Why? Because he's worth $100 million. And he doesn't think that you deserve higher wages. He thinks rich people like himself and corporations deserve more. He'll never understand what it's like to work for minimum wage. I do. I've worked for minimum wage. It sucks. It sucks. I remember it going from $5.15 to $7.25 an hour. So that's 13 years ago. I've been in the workforce longer than that. And even at that point, $7.25, no, it wasn't enough to live on. And now it's worth even less. Even less. And so 27% less. No, I think that if some of these people were forced to live on the minimum wage, yeah, then maybe they might actually be in favor of, raising the wage. But sadly, as I mentioned before, the guy will never agree to it. Because not only does he know that he can't, that it's literally impossible, but he also knows that he would be deeply embarrassed. Yeah, we're just lazy and don't want to work those 80-hour weeks. Yeah, that's right. The capitalists. All right. So let's see. Let's go to some super chats here. And then don't worry, Twitch viewers, we will do a raid here in a minute or so. Let's see. Peril77 says, I hope you started on my soundboard. It's really hard to find Alex Jones clips anymore. But I'm looking. Real Haas Cats says, Sup Waldorf, thanks for your good work and humor breaks as usual. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy my humor. It doesn't stick for everybody, that's for sure. But thank you. I'm glad that people appreciate it. And I appreciate your very kind donation to the show. Monty Darno says, at last got permission to work in the U.S. We'll have income and insurance again next month. Thanks for all the support. Also means I'm allowed to volunteer, like help Jeff with the channel. So again, at this moment, I can't really think of anything that I need help with. Maybe finding stories, but that's about it. And of course, as well as modding. Being a moderator for the channel really, really actually helps a lot. So thank you for that. By the way, much love to the mods, both here on YouTube and on Twitch as well. All right, so speaking of Twitch, let's go over here. Smatty Dragon, thank you for gifting a tier 1 community sub. Appreciate that. Fluckawesos, thank you for resubbing with Prime for 9 months. Hey, 9 months watching Acid Dragon. Yeah, you've got the you got the 9-month Twitch baby. Fun times. Oh, you know what that means though? You're not going to be able to abort it now. Because of Republicans. Damn it. Hopefully, they're going to force you to carry that to term now. All right. Hey, all of you coming in from TYT, by the way, please give us a follow. Really, really appreciate it. We're on at 4 p.m. Eastern every day. So come join us. Have some fun. Come join the community. It's a good community. All right. So that said, raid. We're going to raid into... hey, Ben Crollo. She is streaming. So let's join her. Everybody, she, her pronouns. Ben Carollo, great job. So let's get it right over to her. That's infanticide, says Hunger Games 1989. Oh, Ben is reading too? Oh, let's go back. Let's go back. Abort. Let's do a surf raid. Love you, Jeff, but abort jokes don't hit right now. Oh, no. Oh, no. Disaster. All right, everybody. Thank you all. Really appreciate you. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We will see you all tomorrow, hopefully. As in, I hope you'll be here.
I will eat your ass. Disappointed! I don't like them putting chemicals in the water so they turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Peachtree dish.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
No.
Big, massive dumps.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.